Facebook? What's up, Instagram? We are fixing to go live with John Deloney here in a minute. So, Deloney,
lights on.
Here we go. All right. Now, Deloney asked to be in the film, and then in the film, what am I, 800?
There he is.
All right, hold on. Go live with Don
Deloney.
Don Giovanni.
Whoa. Oh.
There you go. What's up, my man?
What up?
Did we catch you in some like air boxing, like shadow boxing or something?
I was doing Taibo in the background.
Billy Blanks, Taibo, there you go.
Right.
I was doing the tapes.
Nice. From 1989.
I love Taibo. I love Taibo tapes.
Quick.
Dude, you got a haircut, man. You look great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I got my,
Our neighbor hooked
I was
us up.
talking to Melanie, but whatever.
oh,
Just kidding.
darn it, dude, shut down. No, I got my underground haircut from this guy out of his garage, which he does a really amazing job, and
Yeah.
he's like trying to start some new stuff, so.
But he goes to our church, so we know he's not evil, right? So
That's right.
it's good.
He can violate federal law. That's
Right.
cool.
He can do illegal things. It's fine. It's fine.
That's super cool.
Right. Yeah, man. So how you been? How was your Memorial Day weekend?
It was good, dude. It was good. Relaxing, chilled. It was good.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
We did major deck building and painting the house. So it was good. It was fun, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I did none of those things.
That's all we did. And it rained here, but whatevs. No
Yeah.
big deal.
I went fishing and we caught nothing.
Really?
Again.
What were you fishing
That
for?
makes 111 Nashville trips. I've gone fishing, caught nothing. I don't know what to do. And I've reached a point where my son looks at me in this I've never felt a shame radiate like a superpower from a 10-year-old, but it does. And it just comes upon me like an infrared sauna.
Yeah. Because you build it up. You want them to have fun. You want to be like, yeah, I'm going to teach my boy this and this. And then nothing happens. And it's
And
very...
my father-in-law is this gangster professional pro bass fisherman. He's on the circuit.
What?
And he catches fish in a sleet, with a spear. I mean, he's just they go fishing and it's just embarrassing, man. You just want to be better than your father-in-law, right? But I'm not.
Yeah.
It's worse.
Well,
That is funny.
it's your learning time. Maybe when you're a father-in-law, you'll dominate
Right.
the bass circuit.
Sick of learning, stupid.
So,
That's so funny.
yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Today we have Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, and all-around awesome dude. And we are live on Tuesdays. If you have a question, shoot it in the Instagram feed here. And also, if you're not following John Deloney on all the @, on all the tags, go do that. Yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
All the things, go follow him. So today we're going to take some listener questions again. Last time was pretty cool. So, you ready? We want to dive right into it? All right.
I'm ready.
All right, Mama, go ahead and read them.
Sorry. The dog is really irritating me. Anyway, so here it is. Our dog is chewing on a stick and making all sorts of sounds. Anyway, so it says, my husband and I have hit a tipping point and have discussed divorce almost every single day this week. These are unprecedented times and the struggle is real. Everything is coming to a head and we won't allow it on either side any longer. I don't know what that means, but how do I move past emotional abuse? I feel completely controlled and emotional and mentally attacked often. When, if at all, is it time to leave the relationship? Can counseling actually help a narcissist? So this is 87 questions.
That's a bunch of questions.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
one question. Right?
Yeah.
So what are your...
That question's a good, that's a good representation of what goes up in our heads sometimes, and then we end up doing something rash and dumb because it all piles up in there, and we just dump the whole wheelbarrow over, and we're like, I don't want to dump all that out. I just need to get that rock out of here, right? That's probably the greatest analogy I've ever used just then. Yeah, that was good. I would say number one, Andy Young is the guy that trained me. He was my psychology professor as an undergrad, and he ended up being my crisis response guy. He still is. I talked to him yesterday. He had a rule about making no major life changes for 3 to 6 months after an event. That's just as a rule of life. And so what he often saw folks do is they would have somebody die in their house, or they would lose a child, or IVF treatment and have it not go through for the 4th time. And then it just felt right to sell the house and move to Norway or whatever. And all that was a emotional reaction to being out of control in a situation. And so my recommendation for everybody is, unless you are physically in danger, do not talk about divorce during the pandemic, because none of us are in our right space right now. It could be really clarifying some things, like, dude, I've been stuck at home for this dude for a long time, and now I'm realizing this thing, we were duct taping this sucker together for a long time, and that can be true. I just don't recommend people make hard decisions when the house is on fire. The second thing that she mentions is the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot as though it's a diagnosis. And Seth, you can talk, but man, really meet a narcissist, like a clinical one in person, and then you go, oh, that's what that is.
Right.
That is not a annoying, bullheaded husband on most of the time, right?
Right.
Who thinks they're right and whatever. That's just an idiot, not a narcissist, right?
Yeah,
And those are two totally different.
Oh, it's absolutely different. Like, maybe your husband is just immature and a jerk sometimes, right? And he kind of he knows you because you've been together for a long time, and you get those buttons pushed. But like, a narcissist is an Axis 2 DSM personality disorder, and only literal professionals can diagnose those, and they take a long time of like a year-long assessment for a clinical narcissist. And if you've met one before, you'd be like, oh, no.
That's super know it. Yeah.
Right. So, just her throwing that word around, I think probably by the tenor of this email, she's thinking he's a narcissist right now because they're probably pissed at each other, right? They've been talking about divorce. And one thing that really stuck out at me is we've been talking about divorce every day this week, right? So you guys need to make a choice. Hey, for the next 5 days, we are not throwing around the D word. And just do an experiment, because what we focus on expands, good or bad, right? If I'm focused on getting in shape every single day, guess what? I'm going to get in shape. If I focused on everything that's going wrong and everything that's wrong with Melanie then every time I see her or think about her, all those are just going to blow up in my face. And obviously, yeah. So I would say exactly like you said, John, slow down. I think this pandemic has really shed light on a lot of stuff where, oh, I'm much stronger than I realized. Holy crap, that feels good. Or, geez, we haven't looked at this for 5 years. What have we been doing? Kind of thing. So, and that advice of wait 3 to 6 months for a thing, unless you're in danger. Of course, as a therapist, we have to emphasize that. Unless you're in danger, if you can, get out of the house, protect yourself, stay safe, protect your kids, but that kind of thing. Hey, we're not going to talk about this for the next 2 weeks, all right? We're going to talk about, here's even a list. Like, sometimes we have to get so specific. Here's a list of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about chores, maybe why I got married to you in the first place, what we got to do to keep the wheels from falling off here. We're not talking about divorce, and just stick to that for the next couple of days.
Here's another annoying thing you can do, and it's so annoying, is I like a 3 to 5 day moratorium on, we're not going to talk about any of this, and I will do 5 nice things for you every day, period. And I'm going to suffer through them, man. I'm going to do 5 things. 5 freaking things for you. Right. And my guess is by the end of that week, you will know, I hate this person, I hope they die, or your heart will have turned a little bit.
Right.
And the ship will have turned a little bit, and it'll melt that coldness. She asked a question, does marriage counseling work? 1,000,000,000% yes. I'm not sitting here a married guy if it doesn't work. And so, yes, it totally works. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about his bankruptcy, but then, man, it was 3 years later when all that finally made its way out. They had to go sit down with somebody. So, yes, absolutely. But the key to going to counseling is you have to want it to work. And if you don't go, man. It's stupid. Like, believe it going in that I want to save my marriage and I want this to be right, and you absolutely can.
Yeah. You have to have some semblance of hope, because if I go into any situation thinking that I'm going to fail, or just like, oh, I'm just doing this because she wants me to, then what's the real reason? You know, like Simon Sinek talks about, like, what's the why? Well, I want to go to marriage counseling because of my why. I want to be together. I want to heal this. I want to be here for my kids. But if that's not there, then oh man, you're gonna have a tough road to hoe.
Some people go to therapy to have somebody else affirm that they're right. Right? Some people go to therapy so you can tell him how much he sucks, right? And and so yeah, you check yourself before you go. Don't waste your money if you don't actually, or if you're not invested in healing a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes me think of that, like what you were saying, your why behind it. And it's like, bolster the why. Figure out really why would you stay? Because I think we're so negatively biased. Like we look for the bad, we look for what was crappy. We never are looking for what's good, what we want to keep, what we enjoy, what has been good. Like Seth has made money every year for 16 years and he feeds our entire family. That's good. Maybe I should focus on that. Right? It's not a bad thing that he's supported me in every single way humanly possible. Yeah. So I think people need to kind of grow a pair and bolster your why. Like, don't go in like a baby. And I know that sounds harsh, but when we were going through this kind of stuff, that's the stuff I needed to hear. I needed to hear things like, you made a commitment. No, your husband isn't a narcissist because you're mad at him. You're just mad at him. Right? And bolster your why. Like, I want my kids, I remember saying, I did not want my kids to be raised without a father. More importantly, without this as their father, right? I wanted him to be their dad. More than I wanted to be away from Seth, I wanted him to be their dad and be present in their life.
I'm already
every
their
day.
dad.
Well, I mean, an active... Are you? Just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like I had to lift up the why of why I wanted to go to therapy and why it mattered instead of make my giant checklist of why Seth is so terrible.
Yeah.
You know? Which I think is hard for people to do when they feel like, because I felt like I was being emotionally controlled, all of those things. And this is what she's saying too. I feel completely controlled and emotionally and mentally attacked. Feeling is not actually the truth. Feelings aren't facts. That may be happening, but you need someone like a therapist to say that is or is not happening and help you walk through that, you know?
Absolutely.
Something that works for me is to take my feelings down and to connect them with facts. Like, my wife's being this way, I think this way, and then to connect it with, is this a true statement or not? Like, is this a factual statement or not a factual statement? And those are helpful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you said, write down 5 things that I can do for you this week, and that made me think of this thing that Tony Robbins says is sometimes what is needed for change in our lives is massive action, right? And that could be... Well, I wouldn't want to think about that in a time of crisis, right? Like massive action, just the opposite of what you were saying. Like, oh, I'm out of here, I'm moving to Norway. But massive action in a good way. Like, oh, we're having these troubles. We're talking about divorce every single day this week. You know what? A massive action to say that is like, hey, I am absolutely committed not to saying the word divorce for the next 7 days, and every single day I'm doing 5 things for you. That is my massive action.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I'm going to massage your feet when I wake up. Every day.
Right.
And then I do it before bed every night. Even if I'm in the middle of a movie, I'm going to hit pause on the stupid movie. I'm going to go in the bedroom. I'm going to massage your feet. And I'm not going to talk to you because I'm mad at you and I'm thinking about divorcing you, but I'm going to do those 2 things.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that.
Yeah, and then oftentimes our feelings follow our actions. I don't feel like working out. Just freaking get up out of bed and go. And then guess what? Within the first 2 minutes of you running or something, you'd be like, all right, I'm here, I'm cool.
My friend Ken Sakrowski says the hardest run of the day is from my couch to the front door. The rest of it's easy.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And there's no difference of that statement and that action with other things in our lives. Absolutely. So, okay, this question is kind of funny. So you ready for the next one? All right, we'll spend a little time on this one.
You're setting me up here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
This is kind of geared towards guys, so it's kind of funny. My husband wants a vasectomy.
Yes.
I recently had a baby, and when we were still in the hospital, my husband started talking about no more kids. He is adamant about not having any more children and wanting to get a vasectomy, but I am not ready to make that decision just yet. I'm okay with getting one because I go into my postpartum appointment, but he doesn't seem to want a compromise on that and is ready to make the vasectomy appointment now. whether I am on board or not. I feel that is really not fair, but I am not sure how to have a productive conversation about this with him anymore. I did tell him it might be okay with having no more kids, but I wanted to wait to make that decision a little later. We're not great at seeing eye to eye. We often do not agree, and so it's almost always a struggle on big decisions like this. Any advice would be helpful.
Take it away.
I've got my vasectomy story is really funny. So we won't get into it today, but it's
Do it. Why not?
When y'all are in Nashville, we'll talk about it. It's
Okay.
awesome. So here this really goes back to that conversation we just had there. The time to not have a life-altering, family-changing conversation is a couple of days after you just have a newborn in your home.
Right.
Or a couple of months, right? So I would wait till the smoke clears on that deal and ask him, hey, chill out for a second, and ask her to continue thinking about it and then have a values conversation 6 months later, 5 months later, after that newborn is a little more stable. People have more sleep. People have more rational thoughts. And that's both sides, dude. When I had little babies in the house, I was the most irrational lunatic, dude. I know wives get the bad generalized. They get the bad rap. It's bullcrap, dude. Guys are stupid and crazy too.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think it's a good time to even be having the conversation. Both people can be thinking about it in their hearts and heads and come up with the ideas and the thoughts, but this idea of how big is our family going to be, and we're going to have a discussion, that's the conversation you guys need to have in a controlled environment where everyone's slept, everyone's ready to have this conversation and not have it so emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And then you throw in, like, easily the most awkward moment of my life in terms of a surgery. And so, yeah, just don't do that.
Yeah. I think apart from, so if I could just read through this question and talk about the last piece. We are not great at seeing eye to eye. We often do not agree, and it's almost always a struggle. So I'd be like, okay, married couple, I don't know anything about vasectomy or babies or anything like that. Let's focus on those last three sentences, because that is the real issue. It doesn't matter if it's a vasectomy or a house move or any other major life thing.
Where to eat dinner.
I want you guys to focus on those last three questions that you had, and especially, I mean, you're postpartum. Are you kidding me? Like, nobody has a brain. Your brain leaves your body. You're a hollow skull right after postpartum.
You better watch your mouth.
Well,
There's moms.
Take a dive, dude.
Right.
at least I was. You know, you talk about, like, women talk about baby brain and stuff. What is less talked about is, like, dad brain after that. I knew nothing.
Oh, dude.
I could do nothing. It was bonkers, right? So if this couple was in my office and they came to the, vasectomy, this or all this stuff, I would say, we're going to back all the way up. We're going to talk about how you guys communicate. What are your desires? Tell me why you don't communicate well. Was that something from your family of origin or something from your family of origin? And we're going to dive and just circle around that for, I don't know, 5 or 8 sessions.
Yeah, one thing that came to my mind because that was the first thing too I wanted to focus on, that we're not great at seeing eye to eye. We often don't agree on things. And what came to my head as I was reading that is this idea that communication does not mean sameness. Just because I communicate something to you, John, does not mean you have to agree with me. That's not communication, right? Communication is me telling you my idea, and then you telling me yours. And then, as a married couple, you are collaborators. The word collaboration comes from the words co-labor. You work together. You are co-laboring to make a marriage, co-laboring to decide what you want to eat for dinner or where you want to go see a movie or whatever. And so what, like, fries my brains that people think, well, I said what I want. That doesn't mean anything. If you aren't collaborating and, like, interweaving what you want and what he wants and figuring it out together, you're not really doing anything. And so I would really challenge this person. Yeah, do not talk about vasectomies. Do not talk about no more kids. Wrong time to have that discussion. But do figure out, where are you missing the mark with communication? What do you need to start doing that is going to make your communication better? And what do you need to stop doing that's going to make it better? Did we freeze? Can you hear us?
Yeah, you froze, but I can hear you.
Okay, well, that works. Well,
Yeah. Again, I just I think those questions go hand in hand. Don't make crazy decisions. Don't do anything stupid. Put it off.
Seth looks like he's looking in your ear right now. Looks good.
He is. Who says he's not?
Just checking. I'm also an ENT.
An ENT.
Yeah. So I think that the feed is freezing. I apologize for that, but that's all. We only had 2 questions today, and we do. If you can hear us right now.
Froze. Oh, you're back. You're frozen.
Okay, no, you're back. Are you back?
You're back.
Okay. We want to ask you,
We're back.
as we wrap up, we have 3 additional questions to ask you. Are you game?
Let's party.
They're fun, quick ones. They're from our app. So they're from Get Your Marriage On, our couples counseling app that's fast, fun, and never boring. Yes, you heard me. So here's 3 questions from our Just for Fun section. Number 1, if you had a full year with pay, what would you spend your time doing?
Oh my gosh, I would be in the woods hunting and fishing.
But you wouldn't catch anything, so you died. Busted.
And I would have Burger King dropped on the outside.
Right.
Fish tacos.
So that is awesome. I would do the same thing, but then I would want to record it and create content out of it.
Right.
Hunt and fish, and yeah.
I think I would work. I'd do this.
Yeah.
Like, even if I had a full year of pay, I'd just do our podcast. I'd just do our show.
Awesome.
And, like, travel everywhere. Number two, what makes you lose track of time?
Oh my gosh. Playing music does. Being in the woods does. Being doing radio shows, I lose track of time real quick.
Yeah.
That goes by super, super fast.
Yep.
Awesome.
I think the
But
same
to
for...
me, it's more about being in a great conversation.
Yeah, it's, that's funny. Being in the woods, creating things, woodworking, like building tables and stuff like that. I love that. And then hunting, fishing, and then doing stuff like this.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Woodworking, for me, I could do that forever. And then doing our podcast is like the most I lose track of all time. Number 3, lastly, if you were completely superficial and selfish, what would you really want? Fame, money, respect, a pony? Like, what would you really want if you could get anything?
Like the thing, if I could snap my fingers and have it immediately, would be I hate worrying about money, and I just come from that's a childhood thing, and so this idea of when is enough, and is there such thing as enough, and so it's this idea of it wouldn't be like an airplane or whatever. The superficial thing would be I never worried about it again.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the same, but I would be very superficial with my money. I would want to travel literally everywhere. Like, give me all the money, and I'll go to all the places. I won't buy anything lavish. I'll just eat.
You just
like
eat food and
tacos
go.
in Mexico, right? What about you?
The same thing. I think that I would want to travel and just be like, I can go anywhere, do anything, eat anything, and have experiences. But that's not really superficial. That's just fun, I guess.
I know.
But, yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah. So.
New guitars I wouldn't mind having. A new gun would be cool. I mean, stuff like that. I know what I would do. I would literally fly to Seattle, and I'd go to the flagship store at Filson, and then I'd spend a day.
You could.
Well, yeah,
You could spend a day and thousands, and I'm talking like $8,000 to $10,000 because it's so expensive there. But it's just there's so much, man.
Their
so much.
suitcases are amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, come out to Seattle. We're just
I know.
come on.
Once your city opens back up.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing. It's not open yet. Anyway.
Hopefully soon. So, John, thank you so much. We go live with Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality. You guys go follow him, check out his stuff. He drops wisdom all over the place. So thank you, and we will see you on Instagram next Tuesday, and then in person, my friend, next week.
Can't wait.
Yep.
All right.
You're coming next week?
That's right.
I think, yeah.
Well, we're coming a day early. We're bringing the kids. We're going to stop by the studios, and then we're driving down to Greenville to drop them off. Then we're coming back, so we'll be there.
It's going to be an adventure, but we'll have our kids. It's going to be so rad. We're excited. All right.
Awesome.
All right,
See
man.
ya.
See y'all soon.
Thanks, bro.
Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, take care. Bye.